Okay, so today we're going to take a look at this tire plugging kit, such an essential thing that you need to keep in your vehicle with you at all times, and I'm going to show you why. But first, let's open it up, take a look at the contents, and go over each piece. Okay, so I've taken each piece out of the package now so we can examine each one, show you what it is. Alright, first of course we have the rubber cement. This is what you're going to coat the tire plug with. This is the rasp. Okay, this, once you pull the object out of your tire, you insert this in the tire. This is what you clean the puncture hole with in the tire, and in turn you give the plug something to bite to. Okay, this is what you insert the plug with. You insert it through that eye, just like you thread the eye of a needle. Okay, and then of course here are your plugs. The kit comes with 5, and they're regular ordinary plugs. So this is a perfect opportunity to show you this tire plugging kit, simply because when I walked out into my garage this morning, guess what I saw? A flat tire on my car, just as flat as a pancake. So I've got to plug the tire, so I figured I'd show you the kit that I bought just in case something like this happens. Let's dive in. I'll show you what I got. We'll look at it step by step. Okay, so I've got my car all jacked up on the jack. And the reason I did that is so I can take my tire and rotate it until I found the puncture. Okay, so let's see if we can find it. How about that? A screw right there. Isn't that something? You'd be surprised what you can pick up on the roadway. And of course it was on the inside of the tire, so it was hard to see it until I actually jacked the car up and took a look at it from the underside. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract this screw, and I'm going to do that with a pair of needle nose pliers. A lot of times you're going to have to put a fair amount of pressure on it. There. And it has left a pretty good sized hole too. Now you don't hear air gushing out of this tire because all the air has completely come out anyway. But if you have any air in there at all, once you pull that projectile out, you'll hear a shh, it's going to be coming out pretty hard. Okay, so now we got the projectile, or the object, whatever you want to call it, we got it out of the tire. So now what we have to do is we're going to use our rasp. This is the rasp that come in that kit. And I'm going to have to insert this tool into this hole to clean it up. And what this is going to do also is to give the plug something to bite to. A lot of times this hole is too small for the plug, so you got to enlarge it. So what you're doing is you're cleaning it and you're enlarging it at the same time. And you just got to work it back and forth. Work it back and forth. Push it in and out. And it ain't going to be easy a lot of the times. And I'm going to give you a pro tip. Okay, you ready? You see how that tire is giving like that? It's pushing in and out, pushing in and out. If it's pushing in and out so much that you're not making any progress with your rasp, you may have to inflate this tire a little bit so that you have something to work against. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with how clean and how large that hole is now. I think that tire plug is going to have plenty to bite to now. Okay, so we're going to pull it out. Work it out. Okay, so now we've got a nice large hole, and I know that might scare the putty out of you, but that's what you got to do. Okay, so now we're ready to insert the plug. So let's get the plug ready. Okay, so very simply I've pulled one of the plugs out of that pack of 5, and now I'm going to thread it through the eye of this insertion tool. And as simple as that, I have got the plug inserted through the insertion tool. Okay, and now we have to put rubber cement on that plug. We have to coat it on both sides, up and down. That's the messy part. Of course, this is where your tube of rubber cement comes in. Okay, now there's not a place on this plug that does not have rubber cement on it. So we are coated on both sides, on the top and the bottom. And now we are ready to insert this plug inside the hole. Let's see how easy this is going to go in. It's not going to be very easy. It shouldn't go in very easy. You want it to have some resistance behind it. Sometimes you got to twist it as you're pressing it in. Okay, now you can see I've got it all the way in, and then I'm going to give it a swift pull straight out without twisting. And there you go. The tire plug is inserted, and it should be sealing as we speak. Now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and fill the tire with air immediately. So what you want to do is you want to make sure there's no air bubbles coming around that plug as you're pumping it up. That way you know you've got you a good seal. So let's look for air bubbles as we inflate it. Okay, now we got it up to the proper pressure. That's going to be anywhere between 32 and 35 psi, depending upon your vehicle. You can find the specs on the driver's side door jamb, and it'll tell you what you need to pump your tire up to if you're unsure. Okay, now that it's pumped up to the proper specs, we're going to take a look around the plug one more time. Make sure we don't hear any hissing of air, and make sure we don't see any bubbles, and I think we're okay. All this is just from the residue from the rubber cement. It's just a little messy, but nothing to worry about. What you want to do now is, if that plug is sticking out a little too far after you're done, you just take your razor knife and you just trim it off just a little bit. But I would wait for it to completely cure before you go cutting anything and tugging on it. What I generally like to do is I like to push the plug in far enough if possible so I do not have to worry about trimming anything with a knife. If it's sticking out just about a quarter of an inch or so, you're going to be okay. You don't have to worry about trimming it. Now, while I'm down here at tire level, I want to tell you where a tire plugging kit is going to benefit you the most when it comes to punctures and where the puncture happens. If your tire puncture happens between this inner tread right here and this outer tread right here, you have the best chance of a tire plug working for you. And so you can see I am just on the edge right here of that margin. If it was over this way, another quarter of an inch to a half an inch, I wouldn't even attempt it. Same thing on this side. If it was over too far on this side, I wouldn't want to mess with it. That's when you need to take it into a tire shop. But I tell you this, if it falls between that tread and that tread, that tire plug is going to seal generally very well. All right, there you have it. Now all we do is we let it down off with the jack and let it sit for an hour or two. Come back and check the tire pressure. And if the tire pressure is holding steady, well, you know you did a good job. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now, I have 4 plugs left. So I'm going to put everything in a neat little package and put them back in my car so I can have them in an emergency. It comes in very handy to have. Once you get confident in doing it yourself, you can do it on the side of the road if you have to. And there's the booger bear that caused my problems right there. That's a pretty hefty little screw. It's not very long, but it's pretty thick in diameter. So that was the culprit behind my flat tire this morning, but we got it solved. Okay, so overall, I'm very pleased with the repair process. I'm very pleased with the kit that I used. I would say one of the main advantages that I like about it is twofold. Number one, I like the fact that on the rasp, the handle is a T handle. On a lot of kits, it's just a straight handle, which means you don't have a lot to hold on to. When you have a T on that rasp, it gives you a lot of holding power, because a lot of times you got to use a lot of force when you start to clean and enlarge that hole. And that hole has to be perfect. That is the biggest part on this whole process. You got to get that hole perfect before you can insert a plug and expect it to hold. The second thing I like about this kit is the fact that it's compact. It comes with 5 plugs. I used one today. I got 4 more left, and I got plenty of rubber cement left. I put the kit in my car. It's ready for me the next time I need it. So I hope you found this review helpful today. I don't think you can go wrong with having a little kit like this in your car with you at all times. I hope you've learned something today, and I hope it gives you the confidence you need to repair a tire that you have that's leaking. With a kit like this, it really does make it doable for the average person.